Okay, today is Monday, April the 4th, 2022, and welcome to the first and open house for constitutional law. I tell you the truth, guys, this is a good time to be studying constitutional law with what's going on in the United States Supreme Court, what's going on in our government, and also considering what's going on with the war in Ukraine. Uh, so my background, as some of you may know, because some of your names I recognize from previous classes, um, that my background, my degree is in political science um, from Roosevelt University in Chicago, and then Northwestern University School of Law, which I got my Northwestern shirt on. Why Alexa is interfering, I don't know. But at any rate, um, so we'll be talking about various things that are going on. Just by way of history, uh, probably none of you really know, or maybe some of you do know, what event took place 50 something years ago on today, April 4th. Um, and if anybody knows, you can type it in the chat box and I will see it. Do any of you know? Anybody know? Type in the chat box and it will tell me. And make sure you have it set to everyone. So I guess not. Nobody knows. Well, today, it was in 1968, April 4th, that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated down in Memphis at the Lorraine Hotel. I've been down there a couple times. It's now a museum. And so today is a celebration of that. I've done a whole lot with that King holiday coming up through the years, and yeah, it's part of my historical activity. I met Dr. King when I was a little boy in my neighborhood where I grew up. I think I was about 9 years old or something like that, but had a chance to shake his hand. Um, Powerful man. So today is we remember um, that he was assassinated on this day in 1968. So as I welcome each and every one of you to this class, today we're going to get into um, much of what the course is all about, and you know, let me know that you can hear me. Just type in the chat box. Can you hear me? Type in the chat box. Okay. All right. All right. I see two people uh, say yes. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do before we get started is I'm going to give you a chance to take about a couple of minutes and introduce yourself and then tell me what you expect to get out of this class. This will be the time, if you want, you can open up your camera, but I'm going to unmute you or give you permission. So I'm going to start with the first name I see, and that's Brenda Staples. So I'm going to unmute you. You can unmute. Brenda, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. You want to stay undercover. You don't want to put your camera on?
No, not today.
Okay. All right. All right, Brenda. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Why are you here? I know you're here to to get a grade in constitutional law? You want to tell me that? Okay, but tell me a little bit about yourself and what you expect to receive out of this course.
Hi, my name is Brenda Staples, and right now I'm a sergeant at the Burnett County Jail, so I work in corrections. I'm coming back to get my bachelor's degree, and I think constitutional law is pretty important for working in the correctional system, just finding out how everything works, and so that's why I'm here.
Where did you say you work?
At Burnett County Sheriff's Department in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. I was trying to listen for that county. Okay, Wisconsin. Yeah. Where's that near? What is that near Milwaukee or is it near
We're
uh,
about
Madison?
60 miles south of Superior, Wisconsin, Duluth, Superior.
So you're up there.
Yeah.
You're up in the, up there near uh, the I forgot the name of the place that everybody used to talk to me about. Anyway, you know Chippewa Falls and Eau Claire?
Yep, they are east of us.
Okay, yeah, I'm very familiar with those towns. Uh,
Okay.
Way back, going back to '67. I have friends there. They used to go to um, Wisconsin. That time it was called Wisconsin State. Now it's called University of Wisconsin at wherever, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So, okay, and probably just to stir the pot up a little bit, even though it's not football season, you're probably a Packer fan, right?
Yeah, Packer and Vikings. I was born in Minnesota, so I'm a
Okay.
transplant here, so I like both of them.
Well, that's unusual because they don't like each other. Just like
I know.
I'm, I'm a, I'm a diehard, as you'll learn, um, Bears fan. Walter Payton was a personal friend of mine, so yeah, so I like my Bears. Go Bears! But yeah, Packers. I have a Ryan Lancaster, a young man that I know from here who plays football on the Packers. Went to Northwestern, my alma mater, go Wildcats, and he he has been for the last couple of years. I'm sure he's back there playing again because he's pretty good. But anyway, my boss is um, my academic dean, Chris Rowe, is a diehard Packer fan. In fact, he likes to wear his Packer stuff to our one-on-one sessions. So, but anyway, yeah. But okay, well, corrections you will learn here. I also teach a course. Well, you're because you're going back to get your bachelor's, but I taught the introduction to corrections course. As many people who are in this course have had me in, and so I've taught a lot of that stuff. My big area was criminal defense law. I was a prosecutor. I was a police officer. I was an investigator. Um, but poli sci and constitutional law, I love constitutional law because if you don't understand the Constitution, you can't do any of this. And I've had a lot of correction students. So, well, Brenda, welcome to class. I'm going to um, move on. Lee does not have a mic. Okay, so let's go to, let me um, mute. Okay, Mindy, I think I know Mindy. Mindy, I'm unmuting you. Can you, let me unmute. Can you, all
I
right,
can hear you.
all right. Is this the Mindy that I know?
Nope, it's not.
That's a new Mindy. Okay, all right. I had a Mindy in a bunch of my classes,
Okay.
uh, but that's why I asked, is this the Mindy? But anyway, welcome this class, Mindy. Uh, so are you the Mindy that was with Mark? But do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Oh, I do.
Okay, yeah, Pam Dauber was,
Yeah.
I loved that show.
Me
Yeah,
too.
they were both funny. Sad what happened with Robin though. So,
Yes, definitely.
So tell me about it.
I'm from Iron Mountain, Michigan, way up in the UP. Um, I'm currently a teacher, a preschool teacher. I've always had an interest in law, so I decided to follow my dream and go for my bachelor's degree. I'm hoping to one day work with our local police department. So these classes are going to be great help to me in understanding a lot of things.
Well, that's good. Yes. You up near Mackinac.
Way up top.
Are you way above Mackinac?
I am, yes.
Oh my God, that means you're almost out of the state. Yeah, you're really up there. I'm very familiar with Michigan. I spent a lot of time in a town as a little boy growing up while I was living in Chicago with my grandmother near Detroit called Flint. You've heard of Flint,
Okay.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Have you ever? Yep. So I Flint, Michigan, and Michigan has some things that I'm very fond of even now, like Verner's ginger ale.
Yeah. It's good.
I drink it. I drink it. I when I get sick, my grandmother would give me, Richard, drink this, and then you go, "Brr," you know. But
Yeah.
but you felt better. But and then I also had I forgot what they called it, but it was a ice cream and Verner's. There's a name for it, and I can't think of what it is. But that was one of our treats. Um, I love Kegel hot dogs. And I also, I don't know if they still have them, Tom's potato chips, but we used to have, as a little kid, come up eating Tom's. Um, we used to
Okay.
we used to shop at that time at Kroger. Now I think Meyer.
Yep.
You have that up there, right, where you
We
are?
yep, we do.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, both of them, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
a staple for me. Uh, but yeah, I used to love that town. My grandfather, when I was a little boy, worked for Buick, and he used
Okay.
to walk to work right across from near where my grandmother lived on the east side. It's sad what happened to Flint when they did that water thing.
Yes.
It really grieved me a lot. But yeah, I used to love. Oh man, so some people thought I was going to end up going to University of Michigan for law school, but I did not. But I have a cousin who's a professor. She's at Oakland University, which is in um, what's the name of that place? It's right outside Detroit. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, she's from Minnesota. And Brenda was talking about that earlier.
Okay.
Minneapolis, Minnesota. So yeah, so you're up there. So who's your football team?
Detroit Lions.
The Lions. Let me tell you
Yeah.
something. I met years and years ago Barry Sanders.
Oh,
And
nice.
I thought that Barry was going to break um, Jim Brown's rushing record, but it wasn't Jim. It wasn't Walter. I mean, it was Walter who did it, Walter Payton, because Barry retired. He would have gotten it. He was always such a humble guy. So, but yeah, I knew
Yes.
him. I knew Mel Farr even more. You know that name?
I don't.
Yeah, no, that's back in the days. Yeah, Michigan. I used to come up there also with the White Sox and travel and stay at a hotel called the Pontchartrain, which was downtown, and we would go see the um, Detroit Tigers, Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker, who people would say Lou, and people thought they were saying boo, but no, they were saying Lou. They were shortstop and second base, So I spent time up there going there, but yeah, those Lions, yeah, they, yeah, I always say, but lions and tigers and bears, oh my, that's from the
Yeah.
Wizard. But because I used to laugh about it, I says, well, two-thirds of that is Michigan. I says, tigers and bears.
Yeah.
I mean, lions are,
Right.
but uh,
Sure.
the bears are just across the border. That's my
Yep.
team.
Yep.
So, well, welcome again. I hope that you enjoy this class. It's One thing about this class, I'll withhold that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But it's a treat. What I'm going to say is really, I'm going to see if anybody observed it, noticed the difference. Okay, so Lee, so Mindy, thanks. I'm going to mute
Thank
your mic
you.
there. Um, you're muted. Okay, Lee, type in the chat box. Are you the Lee that's been in any of my classes before? Have you been in any of my classes before? You say you don't have a mic, but type in the chat box. I know you can type in the chat box because you did. Are you the Lee in any of my class? Oh, let me see if I can. You might be saying something and I don't see it down here. Nope, I don't see it. Okay, Lee. All right. Anyway, I'm just trying to determine who's on here that was in my previous classes because there's a lot of people that take this class that would be taking this class, and I've looked at the names and I've recognized some of them. All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to move on from this part and let's get into me sharing my screen. Okay, let's share and let's go to this. And now you can see the course. When you first come in, you will see this page. And it tells you the name of the course. So if you're not here for constitutional law, you're in the wrong lecture. And so anyway, just showing you how this works, there's a message page. I can show this early because it's brand new. So if you want to send a message to me in class, that's private, you can go to this, and a few people have already clicked in here. Two people, Janice and Jamie. And so you can send a message to me and I'll get it and I'll be able to respond back to it. I don't like it. This is the least way to reach me. You'll hear the best ways to reach me in a few minutes. Then we come over and you can see your grades, but this shows the grade book, shows me that one person has already submitted a discussion post. Today is the first day. That is awesome. And then it shows the assignments for the week here. And you can go down and you can see every week. By the way, you have access to everything. Can you go ahead? Yes, you can. It's not advisable, but you can. There are people who've had to do that because they were assigned to the military or something happened and they knew that they needed to get their stuff done earlier. Now, does anybody see anything going down the whole thing all the way to week 6? Is there something that you see that you don't see that you thought might be in this class? Brenda, you got it right away. Absolutely, that is correct. There are no tests. A loud cheer should go up automatically. But what that means in this class, because actually you guys that are in this class are heading towards your bachelor's, which is great um, because of the fact that this program prepares you for understanding the concepts and principles. Very basic course. I took constitutional law in undergrad, and I was on semesters. I also constitutional one and law 1 and 2. And then when I got to law school, I had 2 courses in constitutional law, constitutional 1 and 2. And trust me, the one in law school, the book was like an encyclopedia. I mean, it was bigger than one volume. It was huge. I used to say the Yellow Pages phone book, but nobody knows what that is anymore, except people who are up there like us. I remind my students that I will be 72 May 3rd. And so um, people don't think I'm that old, but I am. I'm enjoying life, but I love this job because I have a chance to um, provide details and information. And I will be discussing during the lectures a lot of political stuff. I talk about those things that fit within the context of this. And then, like I said, the United States Supreme Court, and as you already know, it is in the on the brink of putting its first African American woman on the Supreme Court. And as a matter of fact, it was brought to my attention. They says that after this, there will be, I think, 4 women on the United States Supreme Court. You know, so I'm not upset about that, but I tell people I'm excited as an African American about having Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is exactly one of the most qualified people, and she had something different from all the other Supreme Court justices, and that is she has been a defense attorney as a PD, public defender. So you would think that out of the 115 justices that have been selected, that we would have had at least one public defender, not a single one. So very interesting uh, concepts and view that you'll bring to the United States Supreme Court. So, so we're going to talk about the Supreme Court as well. Now, but yeah, no tests. So then you have discussions, and each week you will have a discussion post. And this week, the judicial review, one student has already submitted it, and those are due on Tuesdays, which is tomorrow, and then your reply post due Saturdays. Now, I'll just mention this while I'm on it. Discussion posts should be submitted timely to get the maximum number of points and content oriented. It should demonstrate critical thinking. I do not run these through Grammarly. I do not require citations or references to support your statements. However, it is a good habit to have, as you'll hear me talking about that quite a bit with your written assignments. I'll be very tough on that. I'm warning you right now, and there's a reason for that, as you will see in a few minutes. But each week, and so each day that it's late, you're going to lose a point. So if you do not submit a discussion post by Sunday or by the end of the day, Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, then you will not be able to submit it. You can submit it, but you'll lose, you won't get any points. Reason being is because discussion posts pretty much takes place to interact between you and your classmates and myself about the topics that we have each week. So since we're not physically in class, we don't have discussions. So the discussions that you might get might come from the lectures, but usually it's just me talking, and every once in a while my students have some input. I don't open up your mics a lot during the course of the next 5.5 weeks that we have left. And so it's important. I look forward to them. And I don't grade you based on whether or not I agree with what you said either. You can express your position, but please do one thing for me. Support your position if you're going to provide some things. So I guess it kind of says get into the habit of doing research. It's very important, and that's important at this level especially. Again, since there are no tests, no quizzes, your writing is absolutely essential in terms of getting a good grade. All right, so this topic this week is judicial review. We have some really cool topics in this course. Also in here is your student lounge, which is at the top. That's where you can click on and you can communicate with each other. I take a look at that too. But this is where you can learn also about me. If you click on this course chat, it actually will show you something that I posted about myself. It's showing myself, my wife, my 4 of my kids. I have 8, 4 others that are grown. That's Julian. Julian is his birthday is coming up Sunday, so Julian will be uh, turning 22. Um, this is Julia. She's already 22, and we turn 23 later. This is Richard, who's the oldest. He's turning 26 on the um, 12th of May. This is Jillian. She's 13, so that's an old picture of her. She's bigger now, and that's yeah. So, and then I have, like I said, 4 others that are married and with their kids. Do you see my degree? Master of Arts Religion. Then I have my law degree from Northwestern, as I said. This is me getting my degree from the late Dean Reuter, who later on became the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission. I forget under which president tried to recruit all of us, but we did not. But yeah, that was me excited to get my law degree. We don't wear these hats anymore. We wear these different hats now. Um, so, and then this is a little mnemonic about that you can I share with my students that says lawyers, that you will use every letter here in life, whether or not you want to be a lawyer or not. So you can use that, but it leads to success. And how did I climb the ladder? How did I do well? It's because I did these. I started out with the L, the first part, listen, and you will learn and earn, and then on down the line. Okay, and then this is my email address, which you'll see a number 2 in the course, but that leads you to my personal email at the college. Well, then here's my personal email, richard@wrightgodisable.net. That's the phone number to call and or text. We'll talk about that in a minute. This number you will very rarely use. I mean, I don't even know if it's still on. I haven't tried to call it to see what happens, but it used to send a recording to me, and I think it's still on. But the 630 number is the number, and it's around me all the time. I have it right here in front of me. Here it is right here in my phone that I can get you there. So anyway, that's a little background information about me. Um, and now let's look at the course calendar. And I like the month version. You can click on that and you can see the course begins today with the live lecture open house. And actually, these little things, if you click on them, they open up and they tell you things that 3 of you already know. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Is if you scroll down, it tells you the link, which you already know because you're here. Okay. And so your initial post, as I said, is due tomorrow. Your reply post is due Saturday. Your live classroom phrase or word I give you today will be due. You could actually submit it today, but it is not due until Sunday. Then you have just one written assignment. All right. And we start all over. And notice that this goes all the way through, repeating until, be aware that, oh, yeah, I'll show you this. Just tell you, our lectures are Monday, but week 6 lecture will be on May the 5th. And the reason for that is because the course will end May 10th. I didn't want to do it, didn't make sense to do it the 9th. So I give it to you before that. So the course ends on the 10th of May. That's absolutely when all assignments have to be in and completed. All right. So people always want to know, well, when is stuff due? You'll see it during the assignment, but you'll also see it on your course calendar. All right. Whoops, I clicked that. I didn't mean to do that, so it kicks me out. All right, so now let's take a look at the let's look at the syllabus first before I get to this. All right. Over here, you have course tools. Before I do that, let me show you library resources, which is where you can find a lot of information, though I duplicate some of them in my class. And this gives you the resources that are there to help you. So if new student writing guide, APA, which we're going to talk a lot about. We're going to talk about Grammarly, transferable skills, and things of that nature. So you can find that for APA. Now, you should also be aware that for each program, our program, for example, where it says, let me see, where is it? Here it is, guides. If you click on guides here, it takes you to the School of Justice Studies guide, and you click on it, and there it is right there. And it tells you to help you with research, data, writing, APA, dealing with Blackboard, uh, tutoring. It also tells you how to get a chat. Right now, if we could get a library chat going now, but we're not. And then there's a video in here as well to help you out. Frequently asked questions, coming all the way down here to how to research and all of those neat things there. So these are for you, just bringing that to your attention. All right. And get out of this. But there's so much, everything, these, like I said, you hover over it, you can find the things that you need to. Okay, there we go. It's not hover. Okay, while it's one is highlighted, it won't go to the other. APA, we're going to talk about that quite a bit there. So those are that's where you get your, move that out of the way, your tools. This is stuff that's white, and you don't get those. Those are mine. I deal with those. Okay, but here and tutoring, if you need a tutor, by the way, tutoring is not just for individuals who are in need of help, but it also can help you out. These are peer tutors. All right, so let's look at the syllabus. Okay, why is that there? Oh, I must have hit the syllabus editor. I didn't want to do that. I want to go to the syllabus itself. Yeah, I did. I hit that. So let's see, it should show the syllabus. There we go. So here is your syllabus, and it tells you the name of the course, tells you who your instructor is, and that would be me. This is how my office hours. These are very real. I say this, and I remind students, sometimes students make the mistake of saying at the end of the course that they um, couldn't reach me or to explain something to them. Wrong person, because I remind my students, you can text me. Notice I said earlier how emails, notice where it falls in the order. You can text me, call me, or email me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. You figure that one out. So I respond very quickly. And they give us a rule. As a rule, we have 48 hours that we have to respond by. That's 2 days. And I don't generally have that happen. With these emails, it can, because sometimes the system is weird. It doesn't always get me what I need. And if you have an urgent matter, you don't want to email me. You want to text me or call me, because of the fact that I'll get them all on my phone, except the emails. Emails, I might not get them. They might go into the course. And if I'm not near the course, I won't see them. But my phone will always tell me when someone has texted me or called me. All right. Sometimes when you text me, I'll call you back. Don't be surprised. So if you're at work, you can still text me. And if I do call you, you can text me back and says I'm at work. Then reach back out to me. My goal is to be there to help you. You will never have the opportunity for a fact to say that he didn't try to reach out to me. No, you reach out to me. I got about 60 something students in 3 classes that I teach. And, you know, I always tell my students, you guys are adults. Come on. If you need something, reach out. Get into that habit of reaching out to get things. All right. Don't base me on what other professors say. They have certain hours and times. I don't operate like that. I'm a very busy person. I do this. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I'm also a pastor of a church as well. So you can even reach me on Sundays. I will respond to you after church or before church, one or the other. But it doesn't matter. I'm up late at night sometimes, and I will respond. This is the email address that goes into the course. This is a reminder, good people. Good people, I'm reminding you of this. You're required to conduct research for all your papers. The sole source of your papers should not be the textbook, which you have as well. You will lose 2 points if you just use that or the module. I want you to do research. Okay, that's the way that you learn, is by researching. And all written assignments should be, I should put must instead of should, in APA format. It means more than this, but this is the primary stuff that I pay attention to. Citations, properly APA, 7th edition citations in the body of the paper, and references at the end. Very, very, very important, as you're going to learn as we go through an understanding. So you don't know it, but I got a visitor down here. His name is Milky Way. He just came down the stairs. Why? I don't know. He's a golden doodle, my dog. But anyway, he knows to be quiet while I'm lecturing too. I don't know. He's pretty smart. So anyway, you'll also lose 1 point for not providing a cover sheet. That goes with APA. And pay close attention to the rubric. Now, my comments about your grades will be in the rubric in the grade book, and they won't be very detailed because the rubric tells you pretty much by the score that you got whether or not you fell into a certain category. We'll talk about that in a few. And pay attention to what's said in the module for each written assignment. If in doubt, you know how to communicate. Text or call me. Okay? If you send an email, you know, I'm just telling you, I personally, you know, I'm at this age, I prefer talking to people. I like to hear the voices of people. And I like to see people, but doesn't always work all the time, but talking is very important. We could lose a lot of communication in emails. It's not intentional either. Anyway, these are course competencies. This is the textbook. By the way, each week you receive PowerPoints that I don't lecture from, but those are for your study to help you and help you prepare, not for exams in this course, but to understand the concepts and principles of that week. All right. And so I expect assignments to be completed in a timely fashion. I already talked about weekly discussions. And as students are required to check the course announcements for messages at least 3 times a week. I check mine every day. All right. So this just gives the schedule. So notice this is not a 6-week course. It is 5.5 weeks. That's why week 6 starts on a Monday and ends on a Tuesday. So that's what it means by that. Weekly discussions, we already covered that, so I won't spend time on that. Your assignment consists of readings, discussion, and written assignments. Okay, and then your live classroom lecture, you'll get points for telling me the key phrase. Even if you're here, you still won't get the points until that is provided. And then this is a breakdown of the percentage. Notice 80% of your grade is based on the quality of written assignments, and then discussions. So you got roughly 96% of your grade. The live classroom lecture raise 4%, but guess what? You just have to give it. That's all. Type it in. We know. Now, I operate on the basis of AB. I don't operate on C's. I don't even lecture to C's. Never ask me how to get a C in my class. I'm not going to answer you. I'm going to tell you up front, because you can do that without me. And definitely don't ask me about the next lower grades about it. I just want to just barely pass. That's a bad habit for you if you're going to be successful. Incidentally, one of the things that's so important for me to hear from students, and I've heard this already from you guys that spoke, that you're talking about you're in this course so you can learn more to prepare for your professional careers. I'm glad to hear that, because you know, somebody says, well, I want to get an A. Well, you could get an A automatically by following the processes and steps. You know what? Following instructions is so important, starting in school all the way up to your professional careers if you're going to advance. When you become a leader, I heard somebody say that they were a sergeant, so they already understand my statement, that you have people that are under you, and in order for them to satisfy the requirements of the assignments that you give, then they have to listen, they have to understand. And if not, they can question and find out information. So I'm here for you. And you'll see when we talk about the rubric. Okay. Transferable skills. These are what we consider as important for employers. Employers have told us that they want these transferable skills and they want you to be proficient at them. Communication, that means written and oral communication. I look at your spelling. I look at how you write things, because ultimately what's going to happen is you guys are going to prepare documents that are going to end up as court documents. I, as a lawyer, have had exhibits given to me by law enforcement, corrections, and other professionals that were grammatically incorrect, and I bust them out in court in a cross-examination. It's very important. A lot of times you should get busted out before that from your superior. So written and oral communication, and you should be aware that we're dealing with people from all walks of life. One of the important factors of this school is we share the factor, which is one of the transferable skills coming up, diversity and inclusion, respecting individuals from all walks of life, recognizing the fact that everybody's different, races, creeds, national origins, in your different communities. Like, for example, I already know this, that people in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan are different from many of the people I know that are further down, especially if you get to Detroit or either one of those places like I talked about, Flint or those. But they're the same people. They all got red blood, or as one of my nurses brought out to my attention, it's blue. I says, yeah, but when I see it, it's red. So anyway, everybody get it. You have different blood types, but it's all the same color when we see it. So we should recognize that the transferable skills want us to do that. Critical thinking. I'm a natural critical thinker because I went to law school, and that being a person who went to law school, I uh, analyze everything. Um, my wife, I've been married 27 years to Julia, almost 28, July 28. She knows me, and and also I have a difficult time sometimes explaining things without breaking it down. Well, that's because that's the way my mind runs and operates. I have what they call a photographic memory, and uh, I know some bad things that happened in the past, and I know some good things, but they stick with me. Critical thinking. Uh, That's going to be demonstrated in your writing, your analytical approach to things. You can learn more about that as well on that page that I told you about. If you click on that critical thinking, digital fluency, everything's digital now. When I started out and graduated from law school, 78, there was no such thing. Now it is there everything, and I'm very proficient at it, learning how to use Word documents, um, PDF, which incidentally, your assignments, unless we say PDF, which I don't recall any we do, should be in Word form. And sometimes we have PowerPoints, but most of the time it's Word form. And the reason for that is because I run them through Grammarly to check not just for the spelling and writing, but for the word count of information that you took from sources that you research, and it will give you a plagiarism hit, and you will lose points for that. And I have to report individuals after one opportunity to let the school know, because we don't want people leaving the school that just copy and paste. No, that's not what your education is all about. So diversity, I already talked about that, and teamwork. You're working in teams here in this class with the discussion post. Ethical, ethical, ethical. I keep saying that word. Ethics, absolutely important. We have you'll see in a few minutes, academic integrity thing, which goes into ethics. You're going to see a video where we talk about ethics. It's important. If you're an ethical student, you can probably become an ethical professional. If you're an unethical student, you're going to be an unethical professional, and you don't want to do that. Professional responsibility, everybody has codes of conduct that that are involved as well. So, and then there's information literacy. Um, okay, so the key thing is provide citations and sources to support your statements. There is one source that I never want to see. I never want to see. If I see it, you're going to get zapped big time. Anybody know that source that you never cite? Anybody know? You can type it in the chat box. It'll show up. Any guesses? Okay. In the interest of time, yeah, there it is, Brenda. Thank you. Wikipedia. If you know anything about Wikipedia, it is a word-based document. Did you not know that you could go to some information on a person in Wikipedia and you can add or you can delete information? You can change it. That means that's bad, because it can have information that's inaccurate. And so it shows you can do it. I tested it and I looked and I saw some things in there. I tell you, they have some information there, but that's for entertainment purposes, and even then you can goof up there. So never use Wikipedia. Never, 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 never. I didn't say hardly ever. No, I said never. All right. And so it says that um, diversity and inclusion and additional transferable skills may be included in these programs. And then it talks more about what they're all about and so forth. So the key, it says students may be assigned to submit a comprehensive transferable skills project in their capstone courses. They're working on doing that. They haven't gotten there yet. But the point of the matter is we want to make sure that you understand the importance of transferable skills. Attendance, I won't go over that. I will go over this. Students may submit their assignments up to 7 days after the deadline. I already told you the deadlines. 10% will be assessed up to 24 hours late. An additional 10% for each day. So here's the deal. Students say, oh, I submitted on the 7th day. Now, I say, okay, I take 10% off of each day. Monday, if it's a good paper, 90. On Tuesday, it's 80. On Wednesday, it's 70. By Thursday, it's 60. By Friday, that's only the fifth day, it's 50. You failed. So don't get comfortable with that. Now, the point of the matter is that with discussion posts, it's not 10%. I do 1 point, which is pretty close to it, that I do take off for that. And then if your discussions are not content oriented, you won't get any points for it. I do like extra posts and discussion. It makes it very interesting. Okay. Oh, I did forget to tell you this in the discussion. This is very important for you. You need to get this. I said that the discussion posts end on Saturday. If, however, you submit your post by Saturday, but you have not submitted a reply post, I will allow you Sunday to submit a post for a reply post, but you will lose a point for it. And that's if it's content, not just good posts and all of that. No. Got to have critical thinking in all of the posts. And so my point being is this, is that you can do that. I do that. A couple other professors I know also do that. But if you submit it on Monday, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. All right. Now, the school says that discussion posts made after the due date for discussion posts will not be accepted. That means that you get no points for it. All right. That's what the policy of the school is. Very important. Online discussions conclude at the end of the module week, which is actually Saturday for discussions, but Sunday for written assignments. Now, here's your cue right here. This is a very important passage for you to be aware of. And I read it. Instructors may waive the late penalty or time frame in case of extenuating circumstances. Who determines that? I do. And I'm very liberal with it. That's why now you kind of get the drift of why I say it's better to call and text if you have an issue. At least I'm aware of it. And by the way, I determine what extenuating circumstances on a case-by-case basis. And this is what I always tell my students. You know what extenuating circumstances are, and I'm very sympathetic and empathetic as a professor. I love my students. My students are important to me. That's my life. That's why I love to teach and reach. I do. When you call me for certain things, you'll get more than you bargain for. Very rarely do we have short conversations. If I know there's a situation that you're in, I will be short with you. But the point of the matter is I want you to have enough information. I want to encourage you, not discourage you. I don't want you to feel like this is impossible. That's a word that we don't use. It's possible. All right. So I am very important for you to be the first line for you to reach out, not your dean, not your advisor, but let me know if you have health issues and so forth. With COVID, we dealt with that a whole lot. And we still continue, by the way, because we're not out of it, by the way, guys. All right. And then don't worry, don't consider this important down here. So that's what I wanted to share with you. The academic integrity policy, you can take time to read it. By the way, there is an incomplete grade policy. Read this yourself. I will not go over it, but just to be aware that that's something you can use, but it's going to have to be used responsibly. The syllabus is here all the time. You can always go back and you can get it. So I encourage you to do it. All right, let's look at the announcements. Time moving pretty fast, but we want to try to get you out of here by 8:30. All right. right, so normally, by the way, it'll be 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. The writing process. These are all, by the way, will be here the whole time. You can take a look at how you can use the writing process to help you. All right. By the way, speaking of Grammarly, I mentioned earlier, each of you have a Grammarly account that you use through the university. And if you go to resources and click on Grammarly, it will help you to understand how to do that. This next one is about me. It's a YouTube. By the way, speaking of that, your lectures will all be converted to YouTube. And the reason why I do that is because you can have better access. Okay, hold a second. I think I said Lee said he didn't know that. Okay, and I'm saying I should say he because Lee could be a female. If I said male, I apologize, but let's see what Lee said. Okay. All right. Well, Lee, you're Lee. I didn't know I had a Grammarly account through Rasmussen. Okay. Since you said that, I'm going to put a pin in this for a minute, and I'm going to show you for a minute. Let me get out of course announcements. Let's go back to this, and let's go to resources. And Grammarly, if you click on this, it tells you sign up using your student email. Follow these steps, and it tells you here. And you have, make sure that when you're using it, that you check the plagiarism box when you're using it for run your papers through it. Every one of your written assignments except the discussion posts. All right, so there it is right there. If you already have a Grammarly account here, but you don't want to do that, trust me, you do not want to do that. You want to follow the steps so that it's no cost to you. All right, and it's a good account. So there it is right there. All right, so I wanted to digress, take you back to that. Wanted to make sure that everybody's aware of that. All right. Okay, let's get out of this. Okay. Any questions or issues about the Grammarly, you can reach out to either personal support, and they can guide you through steps too. All right. So anyway, back to this video. If you click on this link, I recorded this, and you can look at it on your own time. You will not get credit or grades. And I tell you a little bit about my adversity. I said this is just a little bit. Adversity is a springboard to success, and about having you go through. Right now, some people know this, that I'm going through adversity right now because I lost my mother suddenly on the 16th of March as we were completing this. This is a picture of her on her book. And you hear a story in there about her, how she adopted me and raised me when I lost my natural parents. But I talk about adversity, and my motto is adversity is the springboard to success. You will learn about that. Take the time to listen to that. Feel free to share it with others. And it is something that everybody should be aware of. Adversity should drive you and not stop you. It might slow you down, but that's okay. So anyway, that will be available to you there. APA assistance, I talked about that earlier. It tells you if you need assistance with APA, you click on this, as well as what I showed you, and it has information to explain. It talks about the academic integrity video, which you're going to see in just a few minutes, setting up your papers, in-text citations, references. You don't have to worry about the annotated bibliographies so much in this course. But we use the 7th edition, and it shows sample papers and templates. Very important that you set up your papers correctly formatted. Very important. Okay, there's videos that can help you in here as well. All right, and I grade heavily on APA. The academic integrity video, I'm going to take time now and share it with you. The person in this is Dean John Mladic, who is the Dean of the Learning Center. And I'm going to take off my headset so you can hear it. However, if you have trouble with that, okay. So you're going to hear, and then there'll be closed caption as well. Let me make sure it's closed caption. There we go, it should be there. Okay, so pay close attention, it's only a short video.
What is academic integrity? Academic integrity is making decisions in your academic life that are based on honesty, trust, fairness, responsibility, and respect. This means being honest in the work you do, while respecting the work that others do. So what is cheating? Cheating means distributing or receiving answers or information by any means other than those expressly permitted by an assignment's requirements or an instructor. Some examples of cheating include asking fellow students for answers or copying answers during the test, notes, devices, or materials during the test the instructor has not approved, purchasing papers from websites or other sources, copying your classmates' work, assisting your classmate in misconduct, and other violations as noted in the academic integrity policy that can be found in all courses. Always ask your professor if it's okay to use notes during the test or to work together with classmates on an assignment or quiz. Now let's talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism means using another individual's work without giving them credit or taking another person's work or work. Some examples of plagiarism are turning in an assignment that someone else wrote, copying words or ideas from someone else. This can be a library resource, course textbook, internet resource, or other material without giving the original creator credit. Failing to put quoted works in quotation marks, or using someone else's ideas in your essays, but changing a few of the words to make it sound like the words are your own. Plagiarism is not just about written words and ideas. It's possible to plagiarize images, graphs, coding, or video as well. So how can you avoid plagiarism? Cite your sources, both in the body of your paper as in-text citations and on your references page. Whenever you want to use words, images, video, or ideas that were created by another person, you should cite that person appropriately as the source of that information.
But how does academic integrity relate to the work world? Isn't it just a college thing?
No. Integrity in the workplace starts with good practices and skills built while you are a student. Would you turn in a project document to your manager as your own when someone else wrote it? Not if you want to keep your job. Individuals can be reprimanded or even fired from their job for plagiarism. Following academic integrity guidelines while you are in school builds those skills and ethical practices that carry through to the workforce.
Okay, I understand how they're connected, but what do I do if I need more help?
If you have questions on the academic integrity policy, consult your course syllabus, talk with your instructor or dean, and if you need assistance with APA citation style or how to avoid plagiarism, contact the Rasmussen library team through our live chat or schedule a research appointment on our library website or through the resources tab of your course. used. If you would like APA tutoring, schedule an appointment with one of our peer tutors on the Course Resources tab.
Okay. You understand the importance of APA. And I try to make sure that my students understand that I'm not being tough. I'm just preparing you for the real world. And many of my students who have graduated reach back out to me and says, Professor, wow, I totally get it now. And you want to have it, and it will elevate you in your opportunities for success in your employment in the future. So it's a good habit to get into and always keep going. Very, 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 very important. And that's why not just citing sources and giving credit, but also I want to see your analysis, your critical thinking in your papers. I want to see you, what you discovered. This is not a quick, fast, and in a hurry type thing to do. You don't want to do that. Because again, back to the main point that I said, should be that this course should provide you with more tools to help you become a professional. I always tell my students this, that I want you to complete my courses, understanding that I want you to become an ethical, educated, and professional individual. And that's what I operate. That's where I teach. And that's the way I live my life. And I try to remind students, very, 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 very important. Take into consideration that life happens. That's why we have that extenuating circumstances issue there. All right. But be very careful about how you use that, because I know some situations people interpret it different than others. All right. So now we have a welcome announcement, which I won't spend time on, but just letting you know it's there, because you should have seen it, because it's here. Make sure you take time to read it. It tells you about the lectures, when the schedule is that I've already talked about, and it's very important. All right, so welcome to the class. Then we have, I want to go, before I do week one, the School of Justice Studies Guide. This is something that I think I already showed you. Okay, yeah. So that is another way you can access that as well. So I showed you that earlier. All righty. So now let's look at the week one announcements. Okay, each week you will see one of these announcements. And this week we're dealing with the foundations of constitutional law. And you read chapter 4 of the text, in which you got the corresponding PowerPoints already, and deal with these activities: substantive and procedural due process, history of Bill of Rights, judicial review, and knowledge check. Knowledge check is to see how you understand what you completed for the week. Tells you when your lecture is, it tells you the link, it tells you the discussion assignment, when it is due, as I've already covered, and it reminds you again of your written assignment that's due on Sundays, and tells you when it's due. And then I finally remind you that the requirements are in the Blackboard classroom, in the module, on the lessons tab, and the rubric. Very important. And then this reminds you about the open house. Start strong and finish strong. You'll learn that my motto is adversity is the springboard to success. All right. So now, with that being done, let's go into week one. And in the time we have, we're not going to go into as much detail as we would normally go to in the week, but I'm just going to show you. So let's talk about the written assignment for this week. So now, first of all, notice what they estimate at the amount of time it takes to do this. So you're going to look at the overview, read the overview, develop a 10 to 15 slide presentation. Remember what I told you, that you will probably find that you will end up using PowerPoint. You will not use PDF. So you're going to develop a 10 to 15 slide presentation, and it tells you what topics should be in there, which means you have to do some research. Provide reference slides with credible sources in APA format. You know what that means, good people, is that on the slides, you should give credit. Also, one of the things that's very important is make sure that you, in your notes section, you can provide citations for the sources that are on your page, but it's easy to cite your sources on the PowerPoint. I heard a student say, I've never seen that before. I said, well, you should, because what it does is it gives the person who's listening even to the presentation, the source where they got the information from. A lot of students try to say, well, I got it from myself. I'm a lawyer. I use sources from other individuals. If I have a book I've written or something like that, I'll cite that source. But the point of the matter is that, you know, and then students like to try to cite my lectures and so forth as a source. You can, but I would, you know, you can do that. That's okay. But the key thing that I want you to be able to do is to get into that library. We have a library in there. When you go to that resources tab again, you can see there are resources that will help you. By the way, these are vetted resources, and they're what we call and literate information literacy is already dealt with there. So you have to be careful about some of the stuff you get off of Google, even though you can. All right. If you cite a case, listen to me. Please cite the official court case, and you know I will be discussing that during the course of the weeks, how to do that. Look at what it reminds you. Do not copy and paste material other than brief quotes from court cases. Demonstrate in your own words. That's what I was talking about, critical thinking. And then these are some resources that can help you. We already kind of talked about, but PowerPoint. So this is going to be in the form of a PowerPoint. Very important. Don't give me narrative, give me the PowerPoint. And you should still have a cover page, all right, as well. So now let's take a look at the rubric. All right. I do not teach from emerging, unsatisfactory, proficiency. I teach from mastery. So here's what I always tell my students. Don't even pay attention to these columns. Stay in this column. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to ask yourself, when you review your paper, did I satisfy the requirements of the rubric in each section? And you're going to read it. I'm not going to read through it myself. Each section to get the maximum number of points. All of this. And then it tells you how many slides. It'll usually tell you how many pages, but this is slides, 10 to 15, with an intro slide, an information outstanding closing slide and summary, and comprehensive speaker notes. Remember, I already said that. That's why I said, they said, oh, I didn't see that in the assignment. It's in the rubric. That's why I said you have to notice them. And credible sources, we already talked about, APA, including reference slides with no errors. And then spelling, grammar, and punctuation. So that's how you want to get all the points that you need from here. If you, by the way, do not provide credible sources, not only will you lose the points here, but you will end up falling over here, because incomplete or inaccurate differentiation. Incomplete means you didn't provide a source to back up your information. Incomplete or incorrect, and I'm telling you what that means. Missing one or more general slides, less than the 10 to 15. You don't want that. no credible sources. Here you are over here. And then you had spelling errors and stuff like that. So that's the way we operate. But remember, we operate from this column here. And when your grades come out, you will see in your grade book each of these categories. And I will give you your points based on where you fail. And it will be explanatory, but then I will put some notes in there, just simply saying what you missed out of the rubric, what you missed out of the module. And that's what you have to pay close attention to. That's how you maximize your grades. All right. If you come to a point that I see you having a problem, reach out to me. I'll set up a session with just you and I in the classroom, and we'll go over it to help you. I'm here to help you guys, but I don't know. I'm not Karnak. Anybody who's old enough to remember Johnny Carson had this character who was a mind reader. I'm not that, but I am here. You know, I always tell my guys on the team that you're the players and I give you the plays and I'm the coach. And that's what we will do. All right. I'm here to help you, to encourage you, and again, not to discourage you. All right. So that's that written assignment. All right. And of course, it is due. There's your due date that's given also as well. And then incidentally, in the module in itself, when you first open it, you see the due date. It says you have unlimited attempts. What that means is you can do it more than once. You don't have to tell me, oh, I did it more than once. It'll show me that you had attempt number 1, 2, 3. It's okay. It is very easy for you to go back and say, oh, I think I can do better than this. What's going to happen is that the highest grade, it will not be averaged out, will determine your final grade for that assignment. Okay. Discussions, I already talked about this, but let me remind you of one thing. Here's the overview and then a definition of judicial review. And I see one student, Alexis Henry. I know Alexis. Now, I know Alexis because I remember Alexis from other classes. Right, one of my students did pretty well. Yeah, she says judicial review is a process. I will tell you this, that the leading case in dealing with judicial review is Marbury versus Madison. Marbury versus Madison. All right, just for your information. Okay. So anyway, what I was going to tell you is make sure that you're aware that we're under what we call post first. So if you open up your discussion post and you don't see anybody, you won't even see Alexis until you submit your initial post. Discussion activity is hidden until the student posts a response. That means the initial post. Okay. I do that purposely so that you can be very original in terms of that. And I already told you the parameters of that. Then your live classroom link, which I'll just open up for the moment to show you that this is the link that you are. If you click on this, it'll bring you right back here. But after this, I will take this out and I will put the new link in there, which will be the link that once it's converted over, that you will have for the lecture itself that you can find on YouTube. Okay. And you'll always have that. And it'll be right here in the course as well. And then your phrase or word that I give you at the end or I've talked about it during the whole course, during the whole lecture, but I will let you know what it is, and you submit that word or phrase to get your points, all right, by using the drop-down box. These are the topics that we won't spend a lot of time because we only got about 9 minutes, but you would go over understanding these issues. Substantive due process, which Gideon versus Connecticut, Griswold versus Connecticut. This was the contraceptive case dealing with that issue. The due process, we'll spend a lot of time talking about that. I will not again go over that today, but I will have covered it in our regular lecture because I won't cover all the other stuff that I covered earlier. The difference in civil and criminal due process, be aware of the fact that in criminal cases, the standard is beyond a reasonable doubt, which means that if you have a jury, all the jurors must find the defendant guilty in order to reach a verdict. If there is one juror that hangs out, they have what we call a hung jury, and then the prosecution can determine whether they're going to try again. In the civil case, it's a preponderance of the evidence, which means 51% more. That's why if you know anything about the O.J. Simpson case, O.J. Simpson was found not guilty by the jury. All 12 believed that the evidence did not prove he committed the offense beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, everybody have their theories. Beyond a reasonable doubt. I had a chance to meet Johnny Cochran and get to know him before he passed. So I know some stuff that, I can talk about sometimes about it. And very good details. One of the things that I did ask him, and we came to it because we're defense lawyers, we know the answer to this question. Did he do it? And the system just exonerated him. And the answer was no, he did not. And I won't elaborate on it because there's some other stuff that was involved, even though because OJ is still alive. But the point of the matter is that in the civil court, they found him guilty by a preponderance of the evidence. So he had a civil, and civil cases don't get you locked up. Now, the reason OJ did get locked up is because he tried to take some of his property back, which got him time in, and then he ended up going on and getting on parole, and so all of that is behind him. So, but that's how that works. I love jury trials. I did very well with them. I'm about 90 percentile in terms of not guilty verdicts. Somebody said, you wanted attorney Wright. I was in high demand. And then these are the steps of procedural due process. And dealing with the court appearance initially, all the way through the rights to a speedy trial, and so forth. Each state has different, but the Constitution of the United States overall. And then there's substantive due process, and we already talked about that with the Griswold case and Loving versus Virginia, which is very interesting, which before 1967, interracial marriage was not legal. Can you imagine that in 1967 is when it changed? I was 17, but we had the issue. And so once and for all, it was settled. And it's settled. I don't care if you don't like it. Shame on you. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that Loving versus Virginia, and they did a movie called Loving. For those of you can go check it out. Homeschooling, Wisconsin versus Yoder in '72, and then the same-sex couples to marry in the Obergefell versus Hodges case, which you heard some discussion about during the Supreme Court confirmation hearings, and then good old Roe v. Wade. You know what that is. So deal with that. All right. So anyway, that's where you get that information there. All right. Read it over. If you have questions, reach out. Meaning of due process. Basically, due process really is quite straightforward. And here's a little thing that you can just go through. Dealing with the Fifth Amendment, provides the federal government cannot deprive a person of life, liberty, without due process of law, and it applied to the states with the 14th Amendment, those same guaranteed rights. And then there's two types: procedural, how the methods of government operate the cases themselves, and the policies that are involved. You have a right to respond to the charges and various things, but I'm not going to go through that right now. All right. Common steps that go into every case pretty much. I will tell you this just from the beginning, is that this takes you through initial court appearance, through preliminary hearing, various motions, that many cases are roughly 80, about 90% of the cases don't get to trial. They are settled in these initial stages by pretrial pleas of guilty, or what we call plea bargaining, or either by motions that are filed that do away with the case. Those 10% that do, you have a right to a bench trial, which the judge hears, or a jury trial. Again, if you clicked on these, it explains those kinds of things. All right. And then you have a speedy trial aspect of it as well. And there's bail hearings and all of that. If you found guilty, you have a right to appeal. And you usually have roughly 30 days, but various jurisdictions vary. And cases can be reversed, affirmed, which means they agree with what the trial court did, or reversed and sent back for more details and information. The highest court in the land is the United States Supreme Court. They don't accept all cases. They turn down quite a few. And it has to be a constitutional issue in order for them to accept a case. All right. The history of the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. You can go through and you can read that. Let me say this to you, that the amendments that are commonly involved in the Constitution with criminal law consist pretty much of the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and the 8th. Those are the main ones. We have the first, second, fourth, sixth, eighth. The Second Amendment involves guns. The First Amendment is freedom of speech. But the biggest part of the course deals with the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Amendment. Those are the main ones. All right. And you can go through and you can look at these. All right. Most of this course, we'll be talking about the 5th Amendment and the 4th Amendment. The 4th Amendment, search and seizure, and then the right to not self-incrimination is in the 5th Amendment. And then we're right at stop. We'll be stopping in just a second. So you can deal with a summary of the Bill of Rights, and you can go through and you can study that as well. Judicial review cases. Remember, I told you already, you'll see it pop up in a minute. This is a study tool, and these are 5 cases that overturn unconstitutional laws. Harper versus the Board of Education. Loving, I already talked about that. Roe v. Wade, Ogerfeld, and then, of course, the infamous Brown versus the Board of Education, which did away with the Plessy versus Ferguson, which said that separate facilities, and it was a long time, it was 1954 that Brown versus Board of Education was decided. So you can take a look at these cases. And then there's a knowledge check for you at the end. And you can see that each week. And you go through this And you have a series of questions. Just which amendment originally applied due process to the federal government? Anybody know? To the federal government. Which one? Want to type in the chat box? Don't worry if you get it wrong. Yep. Survey says you are correct. It was the 5th. The 14th did it to the states. And so you can go through and you can continue. Let's just do one more. A civilian is challenging a law that they believe is a violation of the Constitution. This is an example of what? Want to try that one? Okay, try that one. Yep, that's the right one. Okay, very good. So those are neat, and you can go through and you can test your knowledge about what you had. Okay, and that's it for today. Any questions? Any questions? You didn't miss it because I didn't give it yet. Oh gosh, I'll give it to you though. That's okay. You know what? Never listen to the lecture for that. Listen to the lecture for the content. And actually, to tell you the truth, somewhere in the course of the lecture, I mentioned it. I mentioned it several times. Anybody want to guess? It's 2 words, by the way, for today. You're afraid. Don't be afraid. You won't flunk the course. What do you? Okay. Okay. Usually. So then, Lee, you are the leader. Was in one of my some of my other classes, right? That's a guess. Good guess. Constitutional law. Um, but Lee, you're the one that was in my other classes, right? You don't think so? Okay, that's a good one too. I used that before. But today, those are good too. How about one that I started out talking about the importance of the Supreme Court and Marbury versus Madison. So that's not it, but what do I call that process? Anybody remember? Some kind of review. There you go. There you go, Brenda. Judicial review. Um, it is the court that interprets the law. Remember, it's the legislature who passes the law. It's the judge, I mean, it's the president or the executive branch who signs it. But then when it comes up to challenge, then the courts interpret whether or not it's constitutional or not, first of all, and deal with issues. And that's why the Supreme Court has its name, Supreme Court. They're the final arbiter of what is. However, though, there's times when the legislature can come back again and change things even that the Supreme Court has said, but that very rarely happens. So yes, give me judicial review and you will get your points. All right, guys, I'm going to say good night to you. I wish you the best. Again, feel free to reach out to me. Remember what I said. If you have any questions, you can text me, call me, or email me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. I'll look forward to seeing you. Oh, I do want to tell you this. Your grades are due on your assignments every Friday. So this week, your grades will not be due Friday because your first grades are not due until Sunday. So it'll be the following Friday that your assignments will be due and graded. Okay, so be aware of that. So the first week is usually you have the longest period of time. But after that, no. So your assignments are due this Sunday. And then by Friday, I will have them graded. All right. All right. So I'll see you next week. Good night.